Well, this is Steve Ridgel, and my daughter Julie and her husband Tim are about to celebrate their first anniversary. Now you're thinking, boy, did she wait to get married? No, they're both coming out of previous relationships, hard relationships, a lot of pain inflicted on both of them. It's hard sometimes, and a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've seen it in your families: broken relationships, divorce, people who abuse and hurt people, and boy, the survivors are wounded deeply sometimes. And you've also, like I have, some of you have seen them find love again, find another chance. So Julie and Tim found each other, and they got married about a year ago, and I think there's three lessons we need to learn from Julie and Tim. Three things that mean a lot to me. Number one is the power of second chances. Boy, I love people who have really been hurt, who have been abused, who have seen not through their choice, but the choice of someone else, relationship shattered, and they still look for the second chance. I love that about Julie and Tim. And it reminds me in my life, we all need second chances, or third, or fourth, or fifth chances. And I love sometimes just to look at them and see the living witness to the power of a second chance. Number two, I really appreciate this about Julie and Tim. They don't look back. They look forward. They talk about their future. They talk about what it'll look like. Now, my wife and I are about to celebrate 50 years, so if we look back, there's a lot to look back on, and the future may be a little shorter. But then we look at Julie and Tim and we think, wow, they could spend a lot of time crying over spilt milk of their past. They could spend a lot of time talking about how they've been hurt, and they could wallow in that self-pity, and they could talk about, oh, how bad it is we didn't find each other quicker, and wouldn't it have been great if. But let me tell you what I love about them. They look forward. They talk about where they are now. They talk about what the future holds for them. They don't spend a lot of time wallowing in the past. I think that's a really healthy thing, and we all need to learn that. So the power of second chances. Don't wallow in the past. Look forward. And the third thing I think we could all learn from Julie and Tim: family's what you make it. I've really enjoyed watching them try to merge their families because I'm going to promise you, Julie in no way expected at this point in her life to be a grandmother. But Tim's got grandkids. He brought them into the marriage. And I promise you, Tim did not think he would be finishing raising a couple of teenagers at this point in his life. But he is. Tim treats Jake and Avery like they're his. Julie treats Tim's kids like they're hers, loves the grandkids. She is a true juju to those grandkids. Boy, Tim's grands adore Jake and Avery, Julie's kids, and they do stuff together and they bring family in. And it's hard to merge family, but in watching them work on their family, I've learned family's kind of what you make it. But I do have to tell you one funny thing. As they're getting ready to get married, my wife said several times to Julie, now this makes you a grandmother. You're a and that went on for a few times till my Julie looked at my wife, Marcia, and said, but wouldn't that make you a great grandmother? My wife quit teasing her then. But you know what? It really does remind me, family is what you make it. So I love Julie and Tim. I appreciate them. And here's the three things to keep remembering. Man, look for second chances. Don't live in your past, live for your future. And number three, family is what you make it. Thanks, Julie and Tim, and I hope you have many, many more anniversaries.